It happened on a quiet evening, the kind when the world feels softer than usual. Evan had just walked into the living room and lowered himself onto the couch beside his sister, Lily, without saying a single word. He didn't even sigh. He just sat there, shoulders stiff, eyes forward, hands clasped too tightly. Lily felt the air shift the moment he entered. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was a heaviness, the kind that settles on a person when they've been carrying something for far too long. She glanced at him, waiting. Evan wasn't the type to ask for comfort directly. He never had been. Growing up, he was the strong one, the calm one, the one who smiled even when life cornered him. So for him to sit beside her in silence, that meant something was breaking. Lily turned the volume down on the television. Not off. Just down. She didn't want to scare him into silence, yet she wanted to show she was listening. Evan still didn't speak. His jaw tightened. His fingers curled. His foot tapped once, then stilled. Lily softened her voice. Rough day. He nodded, but his eyes stayed distant. Almost unfocused. That kind where you can't even explain it yet, she asked gently. Another nod. That was Evan's way. Small gestures. Small signals. But they always carried weight. Lily relaxed back into the couch, giving him space to breathe. Pressure never worked with him. Patience did. They sat in a long, shared quiet, the type siblings understand better than anyone. She could feel his heartbeat in the air, quick and uneven. Then she noticed something she had never seen before. Evan's hands were shaking. Just slightly. Barely noticeable. But shaking. Her own heart tightened. Evan didn't shake. Not even when their parents divorced. Not even when he lost his first job. Not even when he stood beside her during her hardest year. Something was different this time. She reached over and placed her hand near his, not touching, just close enough for him to know she was there. It took him a few seconds, but he slowly unclasped his hands and let one drift toward hers until their fingers brushed. It was the smallest connection, but it spoke louder than any words he could have said. Lily felt her throat warm with emotion. You don't have to tell me everything, she whispered. But I'm here. Evan breathed out a shaky exhale. It wasn't a sigh of relief. It was something closer to surrender. A moment passed. Then another. Finally, his voice emerged, fragile and thin. Lily. I think I'm losing myself. The room felt colder for a heartbeat. Not because of the words, but because of the pain beneath them. She turned fully toward him. His eyes glistened with a clarity that frightened her. Evan was always composed, always the steady ground everyone leaned on. But now he looked like someone standing at the edge of something he couldn't name. What happened? She asked softly. He tried to answer. He opened his mouth once. Closed it. Tried again. But the words wouldn't come. Instead, his face fell into his hands. Lily immediately shifted closer, her voice steady but full of love. Hey, you're not alone. Just breathe with me, okay? Evan didn't lift his face, but he nodded into his palms. His shoulders trembled, and Lily gently placed a hand on his back, keeping the moment grounded and steady. She didn't push him. She didn't ask again. She just stayed with him in the silence, the kind that heals more than any explanation ever could. But even as she sat there, supporting him, Lily felt something else rising inside her. A worry. A fear. A sense that whatever Evan was struggling with, it was bigger than anything he had ever faced. And she had no idea how deep it went. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. Evan sat upright again, wiping his palms against his jeans in a nervous motion. His breathing was steadier, but his eyes still carried the weight of someone fighting an invisible battle. Lily waited, hands gently folded in her lap, giving him space without stepping away. Evan stared at the floor for a long moment before he finally spoke. It feels like, every day I'm becoming someone I don't recognize. Lily leaned closer. How long have you felt this way? He swallowed. A while. Too long, honestly. I kept telling myself it was just stress, or being tired, or taking on too much. He paused, shaking his head. But it's more than that. I wake up every morning hoping it'll pass. And it doesn't. Lily's heart tightened. She reached over carefully, placing her hand on his arm. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She whispered. He let out a soft, humorless breath. You have your own life, Lily. Your job, your friends, everything you've been juggling. I didn't want to add to it. She frowned. You're my brother. You're not adding. You're part of me. Those words made his eyes glisten again, not with pain this time, but with something gentler, something grateful. Still, he looked away, as if unsure he deserved that kind of care. Lily softened her tone. Evan, what exactly feels wrong? Is it your job? Your friendships? Something else? He hesitated, then nodded slowly. Work's a part of it. I keep showing up every day, doing everything I can, but it feels like I'm running on empty. No matter how much I give, there's always more expected. Another pause. And when I finally get home, I'm just numb. Like I'm watching my own life from outside. Lily felt a chill run through her. This wasn't just exhaustion. This was something deeper, something he'd been struggling with silently. Have you talked to anyone at work? She asked. No, he murmured. I didn't want to seem weak. Lily squeezed his arm lightly. Struggling doesn't make you weak. Staying silent while you're hurting, that's what drains you. Evan closed his eyes for a second, letting her words settle. I know, he whispered. But it's not just work. It's everything. I keep feeling like I'm falling behind. Like everyone else is moving forward, figuring out their lives, and I'm stuck in the same place. Lily's voice softened even more. That's not true. You've always been moving, Evan. You just don't see your own progress. He shook his head gently. I feel like I'm failing. Like I'm letting everyone down. Who says that? She asked quietly. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. That silence was its own answer. Lily took a slow breath, trying to steady her own emotions. She had never seen her brother unravel like this. Not once in all their years growing up. And now, watching him fight to hold on to himself, she felt an ache deep in her chest. Evan, she whispered, you don't have to pretend around me. Not ever. His shoulders dropped, a sign that her words reached him. For a moment, neither spoke. The room stayed quiet, holding their emotions gently, like a fragile secret. Then Evan finally lifted his gaze. There's something else, he said softly. And I think this is the part I've been most afraid to tell you. Lily's breath caught. Okay, she said calmly. Take your time. He nodded once, gathering courage. It's about something I've been facing alone for a long time. Something I didn't want anyone, especially you, to worry about. His voice cracked at the end, and Lily immediately felt her heart sink. Whatever he was about to share, it wasn't small. It wasn't simple. It was something that had been growing in the dark. Evan stared at the floor again, his fingers fidgeting in a way she had never seen. Lily, he said, barely above a whisper, there's a reason I've been drifting away from everyone. A reason I've been hiding. He paused, struggling to finish the sentence. Lily leaned closer, her voice steady and warm. What is it, Evan? Whatever it is, you can tell me. He looked up, his expression raw and vulnerable. I think I've been carrying something alone that I shouldn't have. Something that's finally catching up to me. Lily felt her pulse quicken, sensing the truth was moments away and that it would change the way she saw everything he'd been silently battling. Evan leaned back into the couch, as if the confession he was about to make needed more space than his body could hold. His fingers twisted together tightly, knuckles pale, and his eyes wouldn't stay still. Lily waited, steady and patient, though her heart beat faster with every passing second. Finally, Evan exhaled. I've been overwhelmed for a long time, he whispered. Longer than I've ever admitted, even to myself. Lily didn't interrupt. She didn't even breathe too loudly, afraid the moment would fracture. Evan continued slowly. It started with small things. Forgetting tasks. Losing focus. Feeling drained even after a full night's rest. I thought it was normal. Just life. He shook his head. But then it got worse. I'd wake up every morning with this heavy feeling, like I was already behind before the day even started. I couldn't shake it. No matter what I did. Lily's eyes softened. Evan, that sounds incredibly hard. He gave a faint, sad smile. It was. It is. And for the longest time, I convinced myself it was temporary. Something I could push through if I just worked harder. He paused. The silence felt fragile. But pushing harder only made it worse. Lily felt a sting in her chest. She wished she had noticed sooner, but Evan had always been the type to keep his struggles carefully tucked away. What made you realize you couldn't keep going like this? She asked gently. Evan looked down again, his voice dropping. A few weeks ago, I was driving home from work. A simple drive. One I've done 1,000 times. He swallowed. And halfway home, I realized I couldn't remember the last 10 minutes of the road. Lily felt her breath catch. Evan continued, his words slow and honest. I didn't fall asleep. I wasn't distracted. I was just gone. Lost in my own head. He closed his eyes briefly. That scared me. More than anything else. Lily reached over, holding his forearm. Evan, that sounds like burnout. Deep burnout. He nodded weakly. I know. I just didn't want to admit it. I thought I could handle everything on my own. I didn't want anyone to see me struggling. His voice trembled. I didn't want you to see me struggling. Lily felt tears gather, though she kept her voice steady. You're allowed to struggle. You're allowed to be human. He looked at her then, eyes glistening. This whole time, I've been telling myself that needing help made me a burden. You are never a burden, she said firmly. Not to me. Her words shook something loose inside him. His shoulders lowered as if a weight was slowly easing. But there's more, Evan whispered. The part I've been hiding the longest. Lily inhaled deeply, preparing herself. He looked away again, voice fragile. I've been feeling alone even when I'm surrounded by people. It's like I'm there, but I'm not really there. I smile, I talk, I show up. But inside, I feel empty. Lily's heart broke in the quietest way. That sounds incredibly painful, she whispered. It is, he admitted. And I didn't know how to tell anyone. Especially you. You've always seen me as strong, the one you could depend on. Lily shook her head softly. Evan, strength isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about being honest with the people who care about you. He blinked, absorbing her words. For a moment, the room felt still, like the truth had finally stopped running and decided to rest. Then Evan took another breath. There's one more thing, Lily. The part I've been scared to say out loud. Her pulse quickened. He looked at her, his expression full of vulnerability. I think I've been trying to hold everything together for so long, that I forgot how to take care of myself. And now I don't know where to start. Lily's eyes softened with both sorrow and love. Evan, she said gently, you've already taken the first step by telling me. But he shook his head faintly. That's not the part I'm afraid to say. Lily leaned forward, her voice a whisper. Then what is it? Evan hesitated, his breath trembling. I think there's something deeper behind all of this. Something I've been avoiding because I'm scared of what it might mean. Lily felt the moment tighten, a quiet suspense settling between them. What do you think it is? She asked softly. Evan lowered his gaze, voice barely audible. I'm afraid I'm losing myself, because I've been holding on to a secret I've never shared with anyone. He lifted his eyes to hers, and the look in them made her heart stop. Lily, there's something you don't know about me. Something I should have told you a long time ago. The words hung there, trembling with truth. And Lily braced herself, knowing whatever he said next would open a door neither of them could close again. Evan sat very still, as though the next words might rearrange something inside him forever. Lily could see it in his eyes, the fear, the weight, the trembling uncertainty. She didn't rush him. She simply waited, letting the quiet become a safe place instead of a pressure. Finally, Evan exhaled. Lily, I've been carrying something for years. Something I didn't want anyone to see. Her voice remained soft. You can tell me. He nodded, though his breath shook. It started when I was younger, he said. Back when everything looked fine on the outside. But inside, I always felt different. Like I was trying to keep up with everyone else's expectations and losing myself in the process. Lily's brows knit gently. What expectations? He hesitated. Being strong. Being steady. Being the one who had everything together. People always look to me to fix things, calm things, solve things. And I wanted to be that person. I really did. Lily listened, her heartbeat slow and heavy with empathy. But after a while, Evan continued, that role became less of something I did and more of something I had to be. No room for mistakes. No room for uncertainty. No room for being human. His voice softened. I didn't know how to say I don't feel okay. Not once. Not to anyone. Lily closed her eyes for a brief moment, absorbing the depth of what he was sharing. Being the strong one sounded admirable, until it silently crushed someone. When did you realize this was affecting you so deeply? She asked. Evan looked down at his hands. A long time ago. Long before I admitted it. I felt like I wasn't allowed to struggle. Like if I did, everything around me would fall apart. His fingers trembled again. But a few days ago, something happened that forced me to see how much I've been hiding. Lily straightened slightly. What happened? Evan swallowed hard. I was with some friends. We were just talking, nothing serious. And someone asked me how I'd been doing lately. He took a slow breath. And I froze. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I didn't know how to answer honestly. Lily felt her chest tighten. He continued, voice quiet. I realized in that moment that I didn't even know what my true feelings were anymore. I'd been pretending for so long, that I'd lost track of what was real. Lily placed a gentle hand on his arm. That must have been terrifying. It was, he admitted. And the worst part was, no one noticed. They laughed, moved on, kept talking. And I just sat there, feeling like I was disappearing. Lily's heart ached. And that's when it hit me, he whispered. I can't keep living like this. I can't keep hiding every part of myself. She nodded, steady and present. You don't have to hide from me. Evan looked at her then, eyes full of something vulnerable and hesitant. There's one more thing, he said. The part I've been most afraid to say. Lily's breath held. He continued, voice trembling. I've been struggling with feeling lost inside myself. Not because of one event or one person, but because I've been carrying emotions I never had the courage to voice. Lily leaned closer. What emotions? Evan looked down, twisting his fingers together. It's not anger. Or resentment. Or anything like that. He paused. It's pain. Quiet pain. The kind that shows up when you look in the mirror and don't recognize who you're becoming. Lily felt her eyes warm. He took another breath. And part of that pain comes from something I've never told you. Something that shaped how I see myself. Lily steadied her voice. It's all right. You can say it. Evan looked up slowly, eyes shining with tears he had been trying to hold back. I've always felt like I wasn't enough, he whispered. Not for my job. Not for my friends. Not for myself. And sometimes, not even for you. Lily's breath broke. Oh, Evan, she whispered, moving closer instinctively. He shook his head gently, as if ashamed. I know you love me. I know you care. But somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that if I showed you the messy parts of me, you wouldn't look at me the same. Her heart tightened. Evan, she said softly, you could show me every fear, every struggle, every imperfect part of you, and I would still see the brother who has stood by me my entire life. He looked away, tears finally slipping down his cheeks. I didn't want you to see me broken. You're not broken, she whispered. You're hurting. And that's not the same thing. He took a shaky breath, absorbing her words, letting them settle into the quiet spaces inside him. But then his voice returned, small and edged with something he hadn't yet revealed. There's still a part of the story I haven't told you, he murmured. The part that explains why I've felt this way for so long. Lily leaned in, heart bracing. What is it? Evan looked at her with an expression she'd never seen before, a mixture of fear, honesty, and a truth aching to be freed. It's about something that happened years ago, he whispered. Something I thought I'd buried, but I think it's time I finally tell you. The room grew still, heavy with what was coming. Evan sat quietly for a moment, gathering the courage he had been missing for years. Lily watched him with steady, patient eyes, giving him the space he needed to let the truth rise. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. It happened back when I first started working, those early years when I pretended everything was fine. Lily nodded gently, encouraging without pushing. Evan continued. There was a time when I was juggling too much work, expectations, responsibilities. Everyone around me saw me as the one who always held things together. He shook his head slowly. But what no one knew was that I was barely holding myself together. Lily listened carefully, her heart already aching for the version of her brother who had suffered in silence. One evening, Evan said, I had stayed late at the office. Everyone else had gone home. The building was quiet. Too quiet. His eyes drifted to the floor. And I felt something I had never felt before, a sense of emptiness so heavy it scared me. Lily's breath stilled, but she didn't interrupt. For the first time in my life, he whispered, I felt like I had no direction. No purpose. Like I was disappearing. He swallowed, voice trembling. I stood there in the empty office, staring out the window, and I realized. I didn't know who I was anymore. Not beneath the roles, not beneath the expectations. Lily gently placed her hand on his. And you never told anyone, she whispered. He shook his head. No. I was afraid. I thought people would see me differently. I thought they would think I wasn't strong. He inhaled slowly, gathering himself. And instead of dealing with it, I hid it. I buried it so deep that I convinced myself it wasn't real. I kept working. I kept smiling. I kept pretending. He paused. But pretending takes energy. And eventually, I ran out. Lily felt a subtle shiver run through her. She had always known Evan was strong, but she never realized how much that strength had cost him. Evan continued quietly. The truth is, that moment years ago was the start of everything I've been feeling lately. The numbness. The emptiness. The pressure. The fear. He looked at her, eyes full of honesty. I've been afraid of facing the part of me that felt lost back then. Afraid of admitting I needed support. Afraid of burdening the people I love. His voice softened even more. But sitting beside you tonight, I realized I can't carry it alone anymore. Lily tightened her hold on his hand, her voice warm and steady. You don't have to, she whispered. Not now. Not ever again. Evan's eyes shimmered, the weight of years finally easing from his shoulders. For the first time in a long time, he allowed himself to really breathe, without trying to hold everything inside. Lily continued gently. You've spent so long being everyone's strength. Let someone be yours too. His breath trembled, but he nodded slowly. Her words weren't just comforting, they felt like a lifeline he hadn't known how to reach for. I'm tired of pretending, Evan admitted softly. I want to be honest. I want to be myself again. And you will be, Lily said. One step at a time, and I'll walk with you through every single one. A silence settled between them, but it wasn't heavy anymore. It felt peaceful. Healing. Safe. Evan looked at her, gratitude softening every line of his face. Thank you, he whispered. You don't need to thank me, she said warmly. You're my brother. I love you. And I'm proud of you for telling me the truth. He exhaled shakily, but this time it wasn't from fear, it was relief. The storm inside him had not disappeared. But for the first time in years, he wasn't weathering it alone. Lily leaned her head gently against his shoulder, and Evan let his shoulders relax as though the world had finally grown lighter. After a long, comforting quiet, Evan spoke again. Do you think things can get better from here? He asked, his voice small but hopeful. Lily smiled softly. I think things can start getting better the moment you stop carrying everything alone. And that moment is right now. A tiny, genuine smile formed on Evan's face, the first she had seen from him all evening. And in that moment, Lily understood something important. Her brother wasn't lost. He was finding himself again, one truth at a time, one shared breath at a time, one honest moment at a time. Evan whispered, I feel lighter already. And Lily whispered back, good. We'll keep going. Together. The quiet between them grew warm, gentle, and full of a future that no longer felt impossible. Because sometimes, healing doesn't begin with answers. Sometimes, it begins with finally being seen. Thank you for listening to this story.